music, please. Okay. Time. Hello guests, my name is Ian and I run a little coffee shop called Formative Coffee in London. Over the years I've been asked so many times, what does that name mean? Well, it all stems from my passion for creating formative experiences. These moments of delight and insight serve to draw our guests deeper into their journey with coffee, and it's experiences like these that brought me to coffee in the first place. So today, all I want us to do together is share a formative coffee experience. And that always begins with sourcing exceptional coffee. Now we're starting with our Espresso Course, and for this course, I've sourced a Colombian coffee from the Quindío region, and specifically Finca El Placer. This white honey processed geisha is grown at 2,000 meters above sea level. That high altitude means a slow maturation of the cherry, and therefore more complex sugar, carbohydrate, and lipid development. This, in tandem with the inherent characteristics of the geisha and that delicate white honey process, mean that we can expect really complex and floral espressos, with that florality coming through as a flavor note of bergamot on the Espresso Course. Now, if we've managed to source exceptional coffee, the second step in creating that formative experience is in roasting. When I roasted this coffee 6 weeks ago on a Loring, I used a 15% development time ratio, steadily decreasing rate of rise, and 204 degrees Celsius end temperature to ensure that we preserve that vibrant florality. But I also wanted to be sure that these espressos would be abundantly sweet without sacrificing transparency. And so my total roast time was relatively short, at 7.5 minutes, extending the glass transition phase. Now guess if we managed to do those first quite difficult things well, then our third step in creating a formative experience is in brewing. So here we are today. And today I'm using a 22-gram dose and a 60-gram yield with a contact time of 30 seconds. It's a recipe designed for balance and clarity, and brings us a flavor note of white grapefruit. And I'm brewing at 94 degrees Celsius, as that's the point at which I perceive the most flavor intensity, really allowing those florals to shine through. But if we're looking to create truly exceptional experiences, it's not enough just to focus on those 4 simple variables. Instead, we need to take a look at everything pre and post extraction that can heighten our guests' experience of the coffee. For example, I've ground your coffee into those blind tumblers, and by shaking, I've mimicked the process of densification in which fines are trapped in the pores of coarser particles, resulting in a denser puck, and therefore a higher, but also more consistent and even extraction. Today, our extraction percentage is 22.5%, of which I perceive the most flavor clarity, balance, and flavor intensity. And post-extraction, I'll be extracting your espressos over frozen spheres, the nucleus paragon, as I've found that by capturing more volatile aromatic compounds, we transform what was a generic tea note into a specific note of green tea. Now, those first 3 things we cannot take for granted: sourcing, roasting, and brewing. But if we do them well, then we get the opportunity to evaluate them. And since Formative is made up of a diverse array of individuals, both in terms of skill and expertise, I found it really useful to implement a tasting protocol inspired by this competition, so that when we taste together, regardless of differences in experience, we can grow together. So that's the protocol that I'd like us to follow today. And it begins by simply assessing crema. Then I'd like you to take one of your clean teaspoons and stir front to back 6 times to incorporate that crema, and then take 2 sips. On the first sip, consider tactile experience. Here, look for a low to medium weight and a texture which is silky with a slight, pleasant green tea dryness. On your second sip then, consider flavor characteristics. Here, look for green tea, white grapefruit, yuzu, and bergamot. And if you miss any of those notes, or you miss any of the notes for the subsequent courses, you can find them all listed on those panels in between your trays. So please feel free to refer back to them. So judges, we've seen so far the importance of sourcing well, roasting well, and brewing well, and evaluating well. Each of these steps is key when we're looking to draw our customers into that deeper experience with coffee. In our next course, our milk course, we'll explore further what we can do to heighten those experiences. When I serve your espressos, I'm going to give you about a minute to evaluate, and then we'll move on. So plenty of time, just relax, and then we'll go on to our milk course in a moment. Okay, judges. There we go. Thank you for your patience. Thank you very much. Thank you. And once you've stirred your espresso, you can pop your used spins in those green glasses in front of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So another 20 seconds or so on that course, judges, and then we'll move on to our milk course. Okay, now, at Formative, we understand that each and every interaction with our guests is a real opportunity to draw them deeper into that journey with coffee. And so, when it comes to crafting milk drinks, we go right back to the beginning of that sourcing, roasting, brewing cycle to ensure the best results. For this course, I'm using another Colombian coffee, this time from the Cauca region, and Finca Paraíso 92. This yellow Bourbon undergoes 2 long anoxic fermentations. And in the first of those fermentations, Saccharomyces pastorianus, a yeast commonly used in beer production, is introduced. This highlights tropical fruit notes and will bring us a flavor note of mango in our milk course. When it comes to roasting this coffee, I wanted to highlight sweetness and body, and so use the development time ratio of 18%. And with brewing, again, I'm using a 22-gram dose, but this time, a 55-gram yield, of which I perceive the most flavor intensity. Now I'm combining each of your single espressos with 60 grams of milk, where I found the most harmonious balance between these 2 ingredients. And this course illustrates the importance, when we're creating formative experiences, of being willing to combine tradition and innovation. So our milk is made up of 2 milks in a 50-50 ratio. The first, representing tradition, is a freeze-distilled dairy milk from a Jersey herd. This brings us sweetness and creaminess. The second milk, representing innovation, is a freeze-distilled oat milk, which facilitates a pleasant, structured acidity and more transparency to the underlying coffee. On the whole, I think this is more in keeping with the goals of specialty coffee. And this beverage serves to draw our customers in through tradition and change their minds about coffee through that innovation. Now, I'm steaming this drink to 55 degrees Celsius, and you can expect a drinking temperature of 48 degrees Celsius, at which I perceive the most sweetness in the cup. And to help achieve that drinking temperature, I'd like you to use your clean spoon to stir 6 times in a circular motion. And again, you can put that used spoon in the green glass. So what can we expect from this milk course? Well, our flavor notes will be rum raisin, mango, peach, and cacao nibs. Now, once I've served all 4 of these beverages, I'll give you approximately 45 seconds to evaluate. There you go. Thank you. Yeah. There you go. Thank you. So we've seen so far the power of sourcing, roasting, brewing, evaluation, and the importance of being willing to combine tradition with innovation. Thank you. Thank you very much. Another 20 seconds or so, judges, and then we'll come together for that final course. Now, everything that we've talked about so far is really important when we're trying to engage with guests and change their mind about specialty coffee. And it all comes together in the cafe experience, where our customers come with ideas and passion, and we use our skill and expertise as baristas to draw them further into that journey with coffee. That's what's illustrated in this signature drink, which I created with the help of some of my customers, inviting them around behind the bar to taste my coffee and suggest and even bring along potential ingredients. So this is truly a combination of the barista and the guest at work. And it starts with 4 single shots of espresso. It's the same coffee and recipe as our Espresso Course, bringing sweetness, complexity, and acidity. Those have been chilling in this hyper chiller, and every other ingredient will be added in there with them, achieving a drinking temperature of 10.5 degrees Celsius, where I perceive the most flavored clarity. The first ingredient I'm adding is 24 grams of a bilberry syrup, made by stewing equal parts bilberry and cane sugar over a 60 degrees Celsius heat for 2 hours before straining. I chose bilberries because they share many volatile aromatic compounds with my espresso, and this syrup serves not only to balance sweetness and acidity, but modulate the espresso, creating a new flavor note of raspberry. Next, I'm adding 24 grams of juice from a tin of pineapples. Now, this was suggested by one of my guests who found the texture of the espresso, that silky texture, very similar to that of tinned pineapple juice. And this was not without reason, because as I researched further, I found that both ingredients share similar levels of oleic acid, a fatty acid, which in our espresso gave us that silky texture. Now, this juice interacts with the espresso to give us a new flavor note of peach. And our final ingredient is 48 grams of whey, made by straining 200 grams of discarded liquid from the dairy freeze distillation process in our milk course through a paper filter for 8 hours. Now, I chose this not just from a sustainability point of view, but also because I wanted to introduce a lactic component that would give us the sensation of creaminess without the tactile component of creaminess. I found that in turn, this increased my perception of flavor clarity in the drink. And it interacts with the espresso to give us our third and final flavor note of white grape. Now, as I've mentioned, I put all those ingredients in a hyper chiller, and I'm swirling to incorporate and homogenize. And then I'm going to pour through this 3D printed shot splitter to ensure an equal distribution of the drinks into these fine stemmed gimlet glasses, which I've found accentuate my perception of flavor intensity. And you can enjoy these whenever you want, take as many sips as you want, just hold by the stem when you do. So our flavor notes you'll find on the page in front of you. I'm sure you've got them down already, but just in case, raspberry, peach, white grape. Guests, I believe that each of us, even on this stage, are still on a journey in coffee, a journey of exploration and excitement. I believe that if we go on that journey together, sharing our expertise, our experience, and our perspectives, then we'll grow not just as individuals, but we'll grow the industry as a whole. This is the idea that sits at the heart of every formative experience. And it's the idea that brought me into coffee in the first place. And so it's been my pleasure to share this experience with you today. Thank you, judges. Time. Thank you. Thanks very much.